Alrighty. Bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out how precisely to set these things up. I think I've got it going right. Yep. It's going live now. So yeah, I'm not sure how fruitful this may be, if anybody is going to want to join tonight or not. Just figured I'd open an alternative channel to just talk about things in general. Because maybe as an alternative even, there's others who are having channels about biology topics and other things that a few might not be quite as interested. So I wanted to just open up again an alternative to talk about different things. I was kind of hoping to see the SpaceX launch live tonight, but it looks like it got scrubbed for tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern. Starlink is launching yet another batch of satellites, which they've already started the beta for Starlink. I was watching some streams recently of people getting their the Starlink packages installed and already downloading. They're already online. The world's first global satellite internet. They're getting close to 100 megabits per second. And exciting times indeed. So it's only going to get better. So yeah. So I'll give it a few minutes here to see if anybody wants to join and take on any topic, as long as, again, we're only going to have respectful and civilized conversation. Hey. Well, I'm not even going to open that channel, Jesse. I'm just going to let them hopefully have their fun. If you want to join in tonight and have a conversation with me and whoever else shows up, by all means, man, let me know. Let me, in fact, pin the stream link thing here. Stand by. Let's see here. Hold on. There we go. And then you can pin that up there. All right. All right. So yeah. Yeah, I've got a few things in my mind, but again, I'm open to whatever anybody else would like to talk about. Tempted on showing some of the streams that I've seen for, again, the Starlink global internet thing. Some people, well, I don't know, probably more interesting just to talk about it than show their streams, because they're just, they're, well, I don't know, they're unboxing it, so you can see the cool little, I don't know what you call exactly, almost a triangular shaped router that comes with it. But they do some speed tests and stuff like that, and it's pretty impressive. Had about, this one guy had a little less than 400 milliseconds of latency, which is very awesome for satellite. Or I've also been playing a new space game called Mars Horizon on Steam. I've been watching it develop for the last couple of years or so, and finally released this week or last week, and been playing it off and on all weekend. About halfway through it, I think. I've sent probes to all of the inner planets and a couple of the outer planets, and starting to run out of space for my my launch facility. But that's for those that are interested in games, though. Yeah, let me see if I can find the stream that I saw earlier. Well, I can probably find any stream, I guess. Let's see here, Starlink. Yeah, here's one I didn't see. So how long is this one? This one that's 23 minutes long. Oof. Yeah, Starlink 15 launch was supposed to be tonight, but they scrubbed it. Trying to find a short link demo. This guy's here. He demoed it in the snow. We'll watch that one. Let's try this one. Oh, goodness. All right. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I have not seen this video yet. It's about 7 minutes long, so I'll probably fast forward parts that might get a little long, but he's demoing this in the snow. This is about 2 weeks ago.
Hey, y'all were wondering if this Starlink satellite dish works in the snow. Well, it's snowing. So let's go take a look.
Like it already. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that, Kelly.
Oh wow, it's lovely. I want to live in it, but it's nice to see. With that cute dog.
Yep.
Oh, he's very happy. Cute.
Dang, dude, where'd you put your dish? Oh. Here you go.
Well, there it is.
All right.
It does have a little bit of snow and ice on it.
Leave it on there, yeah. That's
but
the real test.
It's coming down pretty good here. I expect when the snow stops coming down that it will it'll melt off. So now we should go inside and see how reliable the internet is.
Yep.
All right, I've got a few different tools to test the connection quality with snow on top of the satellite dish. First, we'll start with the speed test. And it looks like it's, okay, I got near there, but then it connected.
So,
and you can see that it's
just as a
definitely
measure,
slower than normal. Normally I'm getting at least above 50, if not, I mean, on the average day, it's probably above 100 download speed.
Which is amazing. So,
but it's still working, so I'm happy with that. I'd say the snow is definitely affecting it though, and it is slowing it down.
Yeah.
Let's run a ping test as well.
So just as a kind of heads up, so the geosynchronous type internet that's available out there, satellite internet like Directway, they generally have at best 10, maybe 11 second latency. A good 10,000 milliseconds, and they can have good quality speeds, upwards of 100 megabit plus. But again, it takes almost 10 seconds for anything to happen after you click something. So the benefit of Starlink's satellite interface is that it's lower orbit. It's not geosynchronous. So the satellite signals are significantly closer. So it's supposed to help reduce significantly that latency, the time it takes when you click on things.
I'll run that speed test a second time. And why don't we go ahead and generate a graph too, to just kind of see a chart of how ping is responding over time.
Red is not good. It's cute.
So I definitely am seeing the ping being slower. There's more latency, probably because the snow's in the way. The snow sitting on the dish. I bet if I got up there and wiped off some of the snow, I'd be getting faster speeds and less.
Well, again, he's comparing this to probably to cable internet as well. So
still usable, but definitely a little more latency when it's snowing. I haven't noticed any issues when it's cloudy or raining, so I suspect it's just the snow that's sitting on top of the satellite dish.
Very nice. Yeah, that usually will just completely take out a satellite signal.
Longer, so you can see results a little bit over time.
Not just from the collection of the snow on the dish, but just the scatter created from the reflection from the snowflakes falling usually too will cause problems.
So it appears my internet connection just went down.
Uh-oh. Oh, wow. And it's back up already?
So definitely a hiccup there.
Wow.
And the latency is not great again.
That's faster than our cable internet, Kelly. Did you see that?
Are you serious?
It took like 2 to 3 minutes for our internet to go back up. His took up like 2-3 seconds.
Lucky.
Buy it just for that alone.
Connection again. And we're back.
All right.
And the speed's increasing now.
Yep.
That's looking good. Still definitely late.
It's good stuff. All right, there's probably some better videos out there though, but because again, that was just him testing it in the snow. It's not ideal for satellite anything, much less internet. See, that one's a good. That's 23 minutes long. Yeah, if you guys want to talk about it in detail, I didn't get to. I was working there. I didn't get to mess with the Starlink stuff too much. Those guys were all working out of Washington State, and I was down in the R&D facility down in Texas. So I just dealt with the rockets, not with the satellite stuff so much. I thought about it. I thought about applying for up there, but my wife lived in Washington State for a while, and she said that she did not like it. She's, I don't know if y'all heard her. She's like, "Yeah, no, just now." But so yeah, but it's cool. That stuff, it's right around the corner. They're starting at about $100 a month, $99 a month. I think it's the beta test, and they're hoping to get it down to $60 a month, make it more competitive. And it's just, again, it's going to revolutionize the world. Not only is it going to make it easier for people in remote places to be able to get real internet, actual, fast internet, but it's going to be able to gain internet access to people overseas that normally can't have access. Not just people in third world countries that have a hard time getting dial-up, much less broadband internet, but people in remote places such as like China and possibly even North Korea, where it's forbidden to be able to get online without a filtered internet connection. Well, Starlink's not filtered, so it's a potential world game changer, as they could put it, a paradigm shift in information sharing. There's all kinds of, they're probably going to deploy what's called K-band shields or Bolex type frequency blockers to help shield the signals from certain population centers and whatnot, so they can still block the satellite internet transmissions, but they can't cover the entire country. China's pretty big, it would be a big electric bill to try to block or blanket their whole country. So especially the remote areas. So again, all they need is this little receiver. And I know I've got a lot of friends of mine, I'm sure you guys might have people you've heard of or know, that smuggle all kinds of Bibles and things into China and stuff. And so it'd be easy just to smuggle one of these little satellite receivers in there, little Starlink satellite. As long as they got, electricity, I guess, is all you really need. And a computer, of course. But it works on cell phones and all kinds of things. So let me disable this Discord thing. So yeah, and one of the main things about it is the plan is to try to not only get billions of new consumers online who otherwise, again, can't get traditional internet access, but it's to help fund the push for Mars, to get the private Mars colony going. It's one of the revenue sources. So it was a huge win. Yeah, I don't think they can filter the content because, again, it's a signal straight from space. They'd have to, I guess they could intercept it and then they would have to rebroadcast it to filter content like they do currently. So whoever Chinese type, the Chinese citizens that I guess they could choose to just continue to receive just the filtered government content versus, again, that they can, I don't know what's stopping them from pointing their dish to the Starlink network. You can just get it straight off the Starlink, that way it wouldn't be filtered at all. So, and the theory goes that the more people know about it, the more they get excited to basically want to share it and get more and more people. Eventually, they'll start demanding it. Because the Chi-Coms, they still have to appeal to their own people, basically, and there might come a point where the general population will protest well enough that, for one, the Chinese will stop destroying their Christian churches over there, and for two, they'll basically say, yeah, no, we want to get connected to the world. It's time now. We don't want to be filtered any longer. So more and more people will get the Starlink router and dish. And the other cool, interesting thing is that I was hearing some people talk about how, like, right now there's roughly 2 or 3 billion people on the internet at any given time, and so there's kind of a more or less established, not just culture, so to say, but advertisement is like a kind of an ecosystem, so to say, on the internet as it is right now. That a lot of businesses, they try to spend, especially like social media and Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, they spend a lot of time and money creating algorithms to try to focus advertisement content and whatnot for special demographics, special times of the day, so to say, and days of the week. And if another 2+ billion people all of a sudden come online, join that global community across the internet, then that's going to significantly change all of those corporate media and advertisement paradigms as well. It's going to make a huge market shift, and we'll start seeing the interesting things about it was not only will we start seeing an increase in I guess where the dollars go, so to say, but also we'll probably see a lot of other foreign content, general ads that would otherwise not be on the internet, that like foreigners would want to advertise their content, not just for their own local people, but other more global economy. So we'll start seeing more and more foreign ads ourselves, even, is the theory. So shall be interesting. And then I'm reminded how the European Union has been trying to sue companies like Google and others for claiming that they've been nefariously doing unethical advertising campaigns as well, which I think is kind of all an excuse for them to try to basically increase their tax rates on large scale advertisement, like what Google does. Even though Google does really tiny little adware type stuff, they just make pennies on an ad. Well, those pennies add up, and that's how Google has become the multi-billion international company it is. So the EU just wants to tap into that revenue source, essentially. So they make the excuse, but it will definitely be interesting to see if that kind of, whatever you call it, government intrusion into advertisement and online advertisement schemes also escalates, because there's a lot of other less than scrupulous governments out there other than the EU, the United States, for sure. So all kinds of interesting things that a new global unrestricted internet access can change the world. So, but yeah, all right. No one else is trying to talk right now, so I think I've kind of talked that out. Miss Kelly's over here having fun playing her game. Let's see what else is going on. Rwanda built a drone delivery service. Okay. I thought Amazon was going to try that, and I think they got frustrated with people shooting their drones down or something. May not be as big of a problem in Rwanda.
Awesome clear views on both the first and second stage. You see Earth in the background.
This is the recap of
about 15 seconds or so away from that entry burn on the first stage.
Starlink 14. Oh, yeah, like I was saying, so we've got the regular old cable internet here at our house, and I mean, it's nice and fast and everything, of course, but we got the gigabit package. But when it goes down, it takes 2, 3, 5+ minutes sometimes for it to come back up. So you're waiting for those little lights to stop flashing and whatnot. And so the Starlink, man, that guy was in the middle of he had snow falling, he had ice on the dish, and it came up within seconds. I was very impressed. So Yeah. I was trying to think of what else to talk about. I went into more detail about some of the things that we could be expected to see changing around the world. But I don't know if someone wants to re-listen or not. I don't want to go back into it too much, but one of the bigger changes, I guess, Jesse, was the advertising world, so to say, is going to be turned down on its head. So we will definitely be seeing some massive differences in the internet in the very near future. So, which to me is exciting. Some people don't like it. Some people get scared of change. And some people like me, they can't have enough change soon enough. So, what else? What else is going on today? Science and technology. Let's see here. Not real interested in COVID stuff. Why what? I'm sorry. You asked why? Let's see here. Nope. There's just not a whole lot of news tonight. What are you laughing about?
Joel, look.
Huh?
He says, me, Chase, and Kelly look.
That's cute. Dad throwing a 2-foot wide snowball on a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not just the getting around government controls, but I was talking about how like the European Union, for example, they've been trying to increasingly sue big tech corporations like Google, alleging that they're doing unscrupulous advertising campaigns. And I think that is kind of a ploy to figure out a way to just increase their own tax revenue, basically trying to get Google to share more of their adware type stuff. And so when more nations get online, so to say, that right now there's in between 2 to 5 billion people online at any given time. Well, they're expecting another 2 to 3 billion people at least to start basically getting basic internet access here in the next year or so. And so that's going to just revolutionize current advertising campaigns. Because right now, major companies like Google and Facebook and even YouTube, they spend a lot of money. There's billions of dollars on trying to create algorithms and such to make more effective ad campaign stuff, to customize ads and whatnot, not just to specific demographics, but to specific times of days of the week, so that they try to focus their ads on markets, and whatnot. And with 2+ billion new consumers all at once, not just consumers, but other advertising, agencies, it's just going to change that. All those algorithms are going to be thrown out the window, essentially. And so not only are we going to be seeing all the dollars in advertising shift all over the board, we're probably going to start seeing a lot of foreign advertisers as well, because they're not going to want to advertise just in their own local demographics. They're going to want to advertise to the world, especially to us, quote unquote, rich Americans and whatnot. So we might be seeing just, different types of advertisements and stuff for products and services that we either take for granted or just never hear about here in America, that will become potentially very, very attractive to us. And it's going to shift market share all over the planet. I doubt it. because the United States, for better or worse, more or less has a monopoly on computer tech, as you put it, quote unquote. Versus whether it's Intel, AMD, what's called complex instruction set type chipsets, or the ARM, or even Apple's new what's called RISC, reduced instruction set chipsets. So I mean, there's other foreign companies out there that mass produce chip technology for computers and whatnot, for mobile devices, but it's our technology. All the stuff that Apple and Israel and all these other wonderful chip giants produce, they're not really designing their own chips so much. So computer tech is still going to probably be on par. Plus, there's what's called Moore's law, which is basically Scotty Moore back in the 60s predicted that technology, or that the ability to build chips with double the transistors on a given piece of real estate on a wafer should double every like 2.5 years or something like that. That's been a pretty steady straight line graph over the last few decades. So even though there's talk about how technology advancement should escalate on a logarithmic scale, there's a lot of people like Ray Kurzweil and others at Google that talk about what he describes as the technological singularity, quote unquote, that where that might accelerate. But for consumer electronics, for sure, I think it won't. People can only deal with, much less afford technology that increases at such a rate. So I mean, it's going to improve, but it's not going to be anything drastic. Nothing. I mean, we're not going to see an Intel 20 or something. I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. The 90s so much wasn't even that big of a technology increase as well, outside of the internet. You know what I mean? Because I was 10 years old. I saw myself basic on my dad's Timex Sinclair 1000, piece of junk. That was before the IBM AT and XTs came out. And, people were doing computer technology before that even. So, I remember in the mid 80s to late 80s, the Commodore Amigas came out, right? And those were the computers. Those blew everything away that IBM and Intel and the stuff we're working on. IBM's XT came with monochrome, 2 colors. Well, that's just it. So Windows, what was the first? Was it Windows 95? That was the first one, right, Kelly? You remember?
I want to say yes. But then again, I got my first PC
when Windows came out, that was old tech. So the little old known company called PERC out in California, you keep forgetting the name. Palo Alto. You're
yes. So cute.
I know. She says I dice up California city names all the time.
Oh yeah.
She loves it.
When I showed him Ojai, he's like, "What?" He had no idea how to even approach that.
Yeah. Was it placenta?
It's placentia.
Placentia.
Not placenta.
It's placenta. Anyways, yeah. So anyway, so the whole idea of a Windows based graphical user interface was debuted in like 1973, 1974. That was the first Windows. And they had a mouse. They had a 1-button mouse like the Macintosh. Again, this is before I was born in 74. So this is all when I was born. Yes. And so when Microsoft finally got around to stealing that and sold it as their own, it wasn't revolutionary. It wasn't new. It was new for, probably the general market. And that was Bill Gates' genius. He was never really that good of a programmer. Microsoft was never really a software development firm. It was just a marketing campaign. They could repackage other people's software, including MS-DOS. They might make a few bells and whistles on it, but it wasn't their platform. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it could revolutionize, again, the markets. That's what I think the 90s did. The .com movement did, was it revolutionized markets. People figured out how to take, already established, what I would even call old technology, and figured out how to make it interesting to people that otherwise wouldn't care. You know what I mean? A lot of people, even I forget the guy's name. The one of the CEOs for IBM at the time was famously quoted as saying how the internet would never catch on, and the personal home computer would never catch on. Well, so that was their, what do you even call it? Their graveyard mentality. So other people said, well, no, let's turn this around. Let's figure out how to make, graphical websites that weren't just text-based, BBS stuff that we used to have, with just where you can make pictures with characters, with ASCII characters. Let's actually make it like a graphic thing. Let's make it graphical display. Let's packetize sound and graphic files, because we were already transferring all this stuff, but no one was really making a GUI interface for it. So Netscape, those guys are revolutionary. The first actual, what do you call it, consumer web browser. Those guys changed the world. They took existing technology and they took the precursor to HTML and other things and made it so that you could click things on your screen, actual graphics. The old, like, I don't know if you remember Prodigy and America Online. You used to, log in, you'd use your dial-up connection. You're lucky if you had 19.2 kilobaud. It was just, wow, those are old times. And so even Prodigy wasn't really like a Windows-based thing. It had icons on the screen that were all hard-coded, whatever. And it's just that's what kind of started to change things. That started making things interesting to those that otherwise didn't care about computers. And that's where that grew. And then they started to be able to advertise services and then eventually start selling things, and make it into the global market it is today. So will the global internet do that? It could, to a degree. Of course, like I was saying, it's going to add just billions of new consumers as well as producers and advertisers. But it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like the 90s necessarily, but it'd be nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's how Microsoft became the beast it is today, is that Bill made the simple request to put Internet Explorer, as we call it in the tech world, on every IBM PC. They already had MS-DOS, so they're like, okay, let's with Windows, whatever, let's include Internet Explorer as a free browser. So I don't know that people would have ever bought Internet Explorer. Netscape was free for personal use, but and another cool, seldom talked about little inside thing about Netscape was that was one of the first jobs that Elon Musk applied for. He finished his physics degree out of Philadelphia and then went to California. And he talks about how back then he was super, super nervous. He was very naive. He was not the, entrepreneur powerhouse he is today. But yeah, so he went to Netscape to try to apply for a job just as a coder. And he sat in their lobby for an hour, he said, just waiting, kind of hoping somebody would come up and ask him, how he was doing and just kind of give him somewhere to go to try to find out who to talk to apply for a job. But nobody came up to him. He just sat there and he didn't have he wasn't bold enough to go and just ask himself. So he left, got up and left the Netscape. And, I think most of us probably appreciate that he did that, because had he got a job there, he probably wouldn't have revolutionized, online transactions, and certainly not SpaceX and Tesla and everything else. I've never bought a pre-built computer, Jesse. I've always built my own computers, and this always saves me money. In fact, I tell people that when they ask me for advice on getting a new computer, I tell them either you've got more money than time, or you got more time than money. So yeah. So those that don't have time, they just need a computer real fast. Yeah, go ahead and buy something off the shelf. I'll tell them, or go to a website. A lot of companies these days will custom, quote unquote, build a computer for you, given the specs. But like this one guy at my last job, I let him know, if you want to save some money, I'll help you build your own computer. And he was intrepid, but he did, so we went online. He went to one of those websites where it claims to build a computer for you. So he spec'd it out, and then he just bought the components that they listed that he thought he wanted, but he'd buy it, from other places, kind of at a discount, basically. And it all came in, a couple of boxes. He actually had it delivered there where we worked together, and we built his computer. The director walked by us and kind of gave us a funny look and asked us what we were doing. And at the time, we were kind of doing our own little internal IT shop. So we're like, oh, we're just training, What's his face wanted to learn how to build computers better. So he's like, he let us do it. Yeah. Newegg had its pluses and minuses. I thought I had more stuff received broken from Newegg than probably anywhere else, which was weird, but other people said they had great experiences. But anyway, so yeah, he was real reluctant. He let me put the CPU on because he was, of course, scared of destroying it, but he did everything else himself. Just kind of stood over his shoulder, let him do it. It took him like 3 or 4 hours, but but he was happy. It worked. Yeah. I recently, most of my most recent computer purchases have been semi-local. There's a computer store chain here in Texas called Fry's Electronics. They had them in California too. I was pleasantly surprised. So I'll go to Fry's and I'll just buy stuff off their shelf, components direct. So, oh yeah. Yeah, Linux is better if you're wanting to do more server-based type application stuff like web server stuff and whatnot, and AI stuff and that one. Windows, of course, is easier if you're just trying to do Windows things, I guess, play games or do homework. But yeah, Linux is by far superior. So it's just faster. It's more lightweight. It's more capable. Windows is just pure commercial bloatware. So Linux is good for developing. Windows is good for not developing. How's that? Is that a good summary, Kelly?
Hmm?
Windows is good for not developing. I mean, we develop on Windows too, but
What is Windows good for?
not developing on. Playing
Windows.
games.
Something good?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, Kelly. But yeah. Amiga Workbench was my favorite operating system by far. It's on the old Amiga computers, and I've still got some in my garage. I'm gonna probably clean them up and actually set them up again someday here soon. But so Amiga Workbench, it used 100% of the RAM. Most operating systems won't, including Windows and Linux. They've got reserve areas for RAM, but for caching and whatnot. But Amiga OS used all of it. And if you had an application that would crash, you get stuff in Windows, you got to go in task on them, or you get the blue screen of death, all kinds of problems. But for Amiga Workbench, you literally just let you click one of the mouse buttons, and it takes you right back to the desktop. And it'll give you an error code for what application happened, but it never crashes the operating system. Yeah. Are you using a GUI Linux interface, or are you doing it straight from the prompt? When you say you watch this stuff, are you talking about like YouTube? Are you browsing from your Linux computer? I'll be honest, I don't think I'm familiar with Linux Mint. Let me look that up real quick. But you were saying you're just using Linux from the beginning on your old computer. Mint. Community-driven Linux distribution based on Ubuntu. Blah 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 blah. It provides full out the box multimedia support. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, it's a GUI interface. All right. Very cool. I just started a new job a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of interesting because they don't even use IDEs. They're literally using just Notepad++ for a lot of because they do mixed code. What do you call it? The cross-platform base is just so over the board that and we're using just raw C+ and C with PHP and just real base core code stuff. And so we just compile it raw. It's kind of cool. I was watching this one of the senior developers. He's been there like 20 something years now. He had like 4 or 5 different mixtures of source files all open at once, which was just, I don't know. I've never seen that much. I don't know what you call it. It's not complexity. It's just variety, I guess. It's just a variety of different code bases all at once, and it's all working together. This product this company does is just so diverse. It's all over the place, and they'll use Python for AI, and they'll use Riddle for the different data mining stuff. And I think Old C is like their core for what they call the TPS, the actual I've been calling it the universal translator because it translates all the line drivers and all the devices that they do. It's all written in Old C. I love it. And then there's some of the modules, of course, written in C++. And I was asking him one time, one of the senior, they call him, I forget his title. He's one of the guys that's been there the longest. And I was asking him, why are we going from C++ to C? And he apologized to me, basically, saying that how he described himself as a quote-unquote redneck engineer. But I love that. And I, of course, told him how everywhere else I've ever been, from TI to SpaceX, those are the best engineers, the redneck engineers. But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I'm one of those kind of coders that just kind of goes all over the place. I've never stayed in any particular code frame. I like to agree with those that say once you learn C++, you can learn anything. But the company I was with last, they were kind of the opposite, where they devoted everything to, or their entire the back end was all .NET Core with C# exclusively. We used a little bit of assembly, but not a lot. Mainly is for Amazon Cloud interfacing and stuff like that. And then the front end was exclusively TypeScript, Angular, with something else I forget at the moment. But the point was, it was all very non-diverse code base. It's all very specific, and I would do other things like in Java just to stretch myself, just to keep my other coding skills kind of frosty, as I'd put it. So I did a lot of Selenium automation stuff, for example, and some AI scripting in Java and Python. So I felt like I was actually, I was there for almost 2 years, if not a little over 2 years. So I felt like I was getting kind of rusty. But so this job's definitely going to, it's going to make it more diverse, keep my coding skills diversified, as you say, so to say. But yeah, I haven't played with Old C in forever. I love it. I told, and I confessed to him as well, that it's going to take me a while to kind of readjust. But and then we got the interns, man, at this new job. They're all over the place too. They're writing new modules in Objective C. They're bragging about some other, what is it called, Swift? I forget what it's called exactly. Some other new languages that's come out fairly recently for mobile development stuff. And so they're all into that. They're trying to talk to me about it. I'm like, dude, I've never even looked at this stuff before. But So I'm loving it. But there's no limit, I guess. They're the exact opposite, in other words, of the older my previous company. They're all at the board. They let us code whenever we want, as long as it works, as long as it connects, as long as it compiles together. In fact, the core line drivers for their main product, it's its own custom dynamic library link. It's not traditional C. It's like this custom made thing that someone developed like 30 years ago, and so all of the other modules all translate into this other dynamic library structure, and it's just amazing. It's sky's the limit. You can literally do anything in it. In fact, that's kind of the problem, is that we get customers, that one customer might want some special thing, that of course it's got to adapt to the rest of the what do you call it, the whole platform. Next thing you know, there's like 1,000 different little small things that may or may not be, useful still. But anyways, yeah, it's fun. But yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Are you the younger guy, Jesse? Are you that's still in school? I forget. I don't think you and I've talked too much. I've okay. Yeah, who was it that was the younger guy? Oh, you're the wait. Were you one of the Canadians, Jesse? I apologize. My excuse is I'm getting old, so my memory's going. If that helps. Laughing over there. She's all baring her face. Yeah, I bet you there's probably old MS DOS ISOs and stuff to download. Here you go, MS DOS 6.22. WinWorld. I'll link it. Look at that. Does it say when it was last updated? I don't see I see a version, but I don't see like a release date. I'll be kind of. Well, it says original 86 DOS. Yeah. I don't see any dates on this page though. Release date 1994. There we go. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. You sound like a computer geek as well then, of course. So are you doing any kind of coding, any kind of computer science projects besides MS-DOS, I guess? Okay. Yeah, I've always coded. I'm old school coder.
Code Monkey.
Code Monkey. Wife's very cute. Building information modeling. It sounds like brain fart. You smiling? You laughing at me still?
No, I cut Jesse's hair off and made her bald.
I see. Oh, CAD work. Computer aided design. Similar or different? And if you want, dude, link the StreamYard chat link to the top if you want to join, talk. If you get tired of just chatting and texting and lurking. I think I remember you talking about that actually. Autodesk. I've not been a huge fan of Autodesk stuff, to be honest with you. With SpaceX, we used the electrical engineering version of it and something else I forget, and we tried to tie them together, and it was just a nightmare. Our civil engineers, they like to use the regular Autodesk stuff. What do you call it? There's a name for it, and I forget what it is. And our IT guys like to try to mix it and use the EE Autodesk Designer to add all the wires to it, and I don't know. I kept threatening to actually make my own little 3D software because my second undergrad was in 3D programming, and so I could make my own real-time engines, and I was going to make just like I don't know, some sort of like a game engine type interface where you can import the models from the AutoCAD stuff into your own custom 3D world, and then just literally fly around in it and move your camera more intuitively, and then actually just click and drag, where you wanted to put peripherals and any kind of wiring or any kind of whatever you wanted to add to it, and then of course make it directly format and translate into the electrical engineering side of it. And I kept thinking about trying to start it, but you never have time at places like those. I mean, I've never had time to friggin' get a haircut, much less work on stuff like that. Fun times. There you are. How you doing?
Can you hear me? Yeah, doing all right. What bunch of
I got 10 o'clock my time. What you got?
9.
Okay. So yeah, I remember we've briefly spoken together, but not
Yeah,
much.
it was short. Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
I don't know. I'm getting sick of everything else, pretty much. So, yeah. What do you want to chat about?
Yeah, I love SFT's channel, but they talk about biology often, and it's fascinating. But yeah, I'm more interested in things other than just biology. So, like I was saying earlier, I'm interested in the space stuff, and
Yeah, I'm the same way. I kind of like. I'm not a young Earth guy, so I don't care for a lot of that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. Okay. So, what I like, my thing that I like is the fact that biomimetics. This is something I like. Now that's biology again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Darn.
Fine.
I'm just wondering what is used. Like what they're doing now is they're making windows designed on a moth's eye. So they found this moth that doesn't reflect light because it's got this covering over its eye, but it can see through it. And so they're going to start making this and putting it in windows so that the birds don't fly into it and, get the reflection, thinking they're flying into the sky still on the skyscrapers. So that interests me, that kind of stuff. Okay. And where they're getting it. Yeah. But other than that, rockets are okay. I don't know anything about them, but sure.
Yeah. Would that be more of a biochemistry level of conversation? Bioengineering?
I don't know. I'd probably be more laid on architecture side of it, anything. So,
right.
But or a little bit of engineering, I suppose. Building engineering, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you can help confirm. I saw something recently, and it seemed like it was legitimate, but I couldn't tell about something called transparent aluminum actually coming out. It was kind of a joke on Star Trek. I think was it episode 3 or 4, the movie?
Yeah,
I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan or not, but
yeah, I am. I love it.
Scotty was on the. In fact, I could play the clip of it because it's so funny. But if
Yeah,
haven't
do
seen
it.
it in a while.
Yeah, sure.
But is that? Did I actually read something that's actually something real now coming out?
I think it is, because when you heat aluminum enough, it gets translucent. So
Right.
I think it might, but that's not something I can speak much more on. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know what it has for a tensile strength though.
Right.
You know, it
Well,
might lose that.
if it's metallic, then you think it could. It's gonna be a lot better than anything with glass or silicon.
Yeah, it might get hard though and turn into something similar to glass. But then they'd probably change the name of it, wouldn't they?
Here's the
Yeah.
short clip of it.
fine place you have here, Dr. Nichols.
Oh yeah, I remember
Back
this.
home,
Yeah.
we call him the miracle worker. Dr. Nichols, I might be able to offer something to you.
Yes?
I noticed you're still working with polymers.
I used to have when Scotty
else
talks
would
to
I
the
be
computer. I
working
used to have that as my boot up.
What else?
Oh yeah,
would
right.
be?
WAV
Yeah,
file.
yeah.
I'll put it
No
another
computer.
way. How thick would a piece of your plexiglass need to be at 60 feet by 10 feet to withstand the pressure of 18,000 cubic feet of water?
Oh, that's easy. 6 inches. We carry stuff that big in stock.
I have noticed. Now just suppose, I were to show you a way to manufacture a wall that would do the same job, but be only 1 inch thick. Would that be worth something to you? Eh?
You're joking.
Perhaps the professor could use your computer.
Please.
Here it comes. This is classic. You remember
Computer?
this
Computer?
part?
Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
Keyboard. How quaint.
A keyboard. How quaint.
He's probably never used one his entire life, but here he goes. We wish, right? Just randomly in the keys.
I've never had one of those computers.
You're right. I used one back in high school, but it'd take me probably a week to do what he just
Transparent aluminum?
That's the ticket, laddie.
Oh, I love it. So yeah,
That's funny. Oh yeah.
I was reading something about it being a real thing now. Didn't follow up on it though, so
So are you done moving now?
we are in the middle of it. We basically paid extra for a couple of weeks so that we could try to move more casually, I guess. So we were going to try to move a lot of the big stuff this weekend, but looking over at my wife half guiltily, we didn't. So,
Are you doing most of it yourself?
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
our son Matt, he's one of the whatever you call it, local community whatever hub people. So he's got a bunch of friends and people that'll come over. But
Right.
yeah, we are going to not pay anything for it. I might
That's
rent
good.
a truck, but
That's good. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Pricey. So how far are you moving? Couple.
Probably what, quarter mile, Kelly? With that? 3 or
Oh,
4
that's
blocks?
it?
Yeah.
Oh.
We were talking about moving to this really nice 1,600 square foot place in town, and I met the current owner and everything, and that's what we were talking about. But then our son Matt, he's been working at one of the local McDonald's here
Oh
for the
yeah.
last few years, and he manages it now. But he was recently really frustrated with his general manager. They were misscheduling people. They would actually schedule a lot of the high school kids during, to schedule them for work during classes, so
Oh, yeah.
their shifts were constantly coming short, and a bunch of other things, but basically made him want to quit, and they wouldn't listen to him, and just frustration. And so he finally just quit, because he stays to help help his mom, and so he figured, just go ahead and move on, and then spend like this month or so to help everybody move. But when he did that, the franchise owner found out, and they're like, "Oh heck no!" So they're they're offering him a raise. They're offering to buy him a new truck. I mean, they're throwing out the red carpet, begging him to come back now. And
Oh, perfect.
yeah, so he convinced us to stay in this area so he could stay close to his job. But
Yeah. Well, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
yeah, that's what I was saying. So he's got, he knows everybody in this area pretty much, because everybody goes to McDonald's. They love talking. He's one of those kind of managers that loves to talk to people. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, so he'll be a blessing there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. And the new job's going okay? You started already?
Oh yeah. This will be my third week.
Well, good.
Yep.
Good.
They've been kind to me.
New jobs are a little hard sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I've had all kinds. I've had some jobs that, they have you hit the ground rolling, so to say. But this job so far has been real relaxed. I mean, they're all super busy. They've got it's like a 20 to 30 person team, and everybody's got just multiple projects going on. So they're kind of just throwing little tidbits at me, little morsels.
Yeah.
But they've got a new beta product test coming out for a local business here in town that has been kind of on the back burner for like over a year or so, like that. And they're waiting. They were going to wait for them to upgrade their software to some new version at the beginning of the year, but then they went ahead and want to upgrade it now this month or December. So I'm finally going to go ahead and kind of get accelerated a little bit and get in on the ground for them to go scope out the network for them and start hooking these things up.
Right on. That's good. I know one place I started. Oh, nobody shares any information with you, so you're stuck in your little. You can't do anything because you don't know the schedule. They won't give you even the schedule of what's going on with the production. So how can you even add anything to it or know when to?
Right.
So I remember I was there for I don't know how long, and I even went up to the boss, the manager, and I said, "Look, this can't go on."
Right.
he told me, he said, "When you're ready, I'll give it to you."
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't do my job.
That reminds. So when I got first hired at Texas Instruments, right? That's my first civilian job out of the military, right? They're all excited, because I was this big electronics expert dude and whatever. And the same thing. They didn't know what to do with me, I think, at first. So me and this other guy that they hired together, we literally just sat in the secondary upstairs little admin office area, just basically where the library was. We had a few computers and stuff like that for research. And we sat there for like a month every day. And they're like, just read these books,
Oh yeah.
And we got so bored. I mean, we didn't, because I read some of the books, but you don't know what you're reading, And a lot of the stuff
until you get into it. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I was an electronics expert, but I didn't know anything about microchips so much, so to say, or the details of lithography and whatnot, So that in the book, it was a good summary. But so anyway, we were chomping at the bit. Every time someone would come in for like a real reason, we'd always like, "What you doing? What are you working on? Can we help?"
Oh wow, yeah.
So, but yeah, eventually they got unbusy enough to figure out something for us to do. Actually, what happened for me was I was sitting downstairs again, just literally looking for something to do, and it was in what's called the acid dock, where they do a lot of the loading and offloading for the big acid tote tanks and product for the microchip, the chemicals, and they were doing some sort of refab for what's called the SCADA system. If you're familiar with SCADA networking.
No, I'm not. I've heard it. I've heard the name, but that's it.
Oh, it's been supervisory control and detection administration, something like this. Anyways, it's automation. So yeah, when you have like a bunch, it's used for like the food industries and things where if you got a lot of machines that all have to work together, You connect it all
Okay.
with a like a SCADA control network.
Yep.
It monitors things and it makes alerts. Anyway, so they did that for all the microchip, the gas and chemicals and the fab machines, the tools. It was monitoring everything in the facility, and then of course if like a pressure gauge went off, or if a machine went down or something like that, then it would set off alarms and keep logs of everything, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so they had this third party company come in. They were upgrading the SCADA software, and because it was on some sort of really ancient, like OS2 warp something or some ancient computer, and they're upgrading it to Windows. And
To
I just,
Windows.
I was a computer geek, huh?
To Windows?
Yeah, they're basically changing it to a
Really?
Windows-based software because again, it
Oh.
was this ancient warp OS2 stuff. And so I just, again, I was a computer geek. I had nothing really else to do. Oh, and so I just sat there and paid attention to them. And of course, everybody else was so busy. So those the third party client, they were there, they were installing it, they were testing it, and they were trying to teach us how to use it.
Mhm.
And so I was able to sit there with them all day and just soaked it up. So next thing you know, I'm the SCADA, administrator by default, even though I'm just this 20-year-old kid,
Yeah.
fresh out of the
Right
military.
on. Perfect.
Yeah, and so, but which was awesome because to run the SCADA network, you have to literally know, not just where but how everything works, and the whole
Yeah.
fab.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so I'm basically I'm everybody's best friend all of a sudden.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
It was fun.
Huh.
So
I get a kick now to play a game in the 90s with, say, Windows 95. You had to know your DOS a little bit.
Mhm.
You had to set it up so that you can start the program because it runs on its own, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
run through Windows like the new ones do. And I get a kick out of this because that's what I used to do to play a game.
Config sys files and the sys dot something.
Yeah. and now I'm at the age that these young people think I don't know anything about computers and I have to prove myself.
Yeah.
And here I start teaching and we've got all these computers and none of them can fix the computers, so it's me having to do it. So I get a real kick out of this,
Right.
actually, nowadays. But it's a tough sell though when things were harder back then than they are now. You had to think a little bit.
You're right. Yeah, you had to actually know about the architecture and the details. These days, you just have to know what a USB plug looks like.
Yeah, and it all fits together and works. Yeah.
My youngest brother was getting his what do you call it, the A+ certification?
Oh yeah.
And he had this like 3-inch plus thick book, right, that he's supposed to study out of, asking me to help him. I'm like, dude, Brian, this is things that this stuff's from like the 80s and 90s. This is stuff that you probably don't need to really you won't ever use anymore. But I just kind of gave him the overview of it. But the book was just way too much detail. Right. For a test that you'd like to think is got a lot of detail, but the test is the AAA stuff and the what they call it, I forget what it's called now. Something COST something. What was it called?
I think that's the way he would have to. He'd be better off learning if you could explain to him, the whole process of it. I think that it's save a whole lot of time than just reading all that. I think nowadays.
Well, it's just that there's computers these days don't even have peripheral plugs anymore. It's all serial based and stuff that
exactly.
You might need if you're working on some old electrical engineering thing, but they've dumbed computer technology down so much to the point now today that I don't think we even need to know half the stuff that we used to know. In other words,
no. Maybe to set up a bit of a network, you have to know something just within the software, but that's the Windows software, but that's it.
Yeah.
It's changed quite a bit since I took when Windows 98 came out, I took courses on implementing Windows 98 in the business and then with the networks and stuff. I took all that information from Microsoft.
Right.
And but it hasn't changed a lot, but it's changed enough that I can't find my way around in it easily now. I have to look hard.
Well,
So
yeah, I would say if it's changed any, they've dumbed it down a lot.
yeah, they have. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this company I'm working at now, again, they've got some legacy products that still use the old like RS-45, 422 type serial bus networks. So, and that's part of why they hired me, because you know, like you probably grew up with stuff like that, you know, with not just the Ethernet, but just the serial based stuff. But most other places today that you say RS-45, they're like, an RS what?
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I don't, and me and computers, I always have to seem to upgrade because the software takes out so much more, and then the program slows down, and the longer you sit and wait for it to catch up to you, then it's time to buy a new computer, or get a new one.
Mm.
I've always built my own, but yeah.
That's because of the bloatware, all the overhead,
Yeah.
the useless junk.
It's gotten better this last year. They upgraded the way the 3D works, but I've always bought all these really expensive Quadro workstation cards, you know,
Yeah.
and they're super expensive, and I always have to seem to upgrade them.
Well, probably, yeah, for your architecture work, your CAD design.
Yeah.
I think that's because that's such a niche market. They can afford to get people to pay higher premium.
Yeah, and for me, I can probably spend $1,600 on it, but if I was to buy one from someone to spec it out the same way, I've seen them 5,000 and up, right?
Right.
So I don't
Yeah.
mind.
I've only briefly looked into those before. Those
Yeah.
particular, and I'd want to beg the question if you can get regular, you know, off the shelf gaming cards. You know, maybe get like an SLI pair or something like that, if that would give you the same, if not even better performance or not.
Well, they work fine, but because they're not a certified card, there's certain menus that get grayed out. You can't see them.
I hate that.
Yeah. So now you either use Dynamo or you don't, or you don't have the menu, or move it somewhere where it's uncomfortable.
The company, again, this new job I'm at, they have a similar thing where they're, again, the first project they're putting me on, it's an upgrade project because the brand that they're currently using for some security devices is they got bought out by this other company, but they still sell the first brand of products still, but they want to promote this newer brand, this other company they merged with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the newer company is also simply rebranding from another security device company, but they changed the OEM ID code on the chips so that it even though it's somebody else's product, they chip it so that it'll show their name in the software.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. So, and then the company I'm working for, they don't do that, but they have to make sure that our code has to recognize, okay, is this from this board? Is this from this? It has to read what you're describing, the OEM data, to be able to activate or whatever you call it, authorize a certain driver set for this other company's product that ties into our stuff, and it's just a nightmare.
So they lock out all the other software that,
right.
Of course.
Well, the features. So like, because the devices, the edge devices themselves, the hardware has lockouts. If it's not connected to a certain panel or a certain whatever, switch or other driver, it won't allow you to do this specific feature, under the guise that it just can't handle it or whatever nonsense. But it's ridiculous. It's just proprietary nonsense.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to work around it. And the customers, they want a universal product.
Well, sure they do. Oh, goodness.
But yeah, it's challenging.
Oh, man. So what you must know about VM machines then, eh?
Oh yeah.
So what what's a good one that I can get for free?
I thought VMware was still free for personal use.
Is it?
Is it?
But will it run the DOS?
Oh yeah.
It will still. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Double check. I mean, there's dozens of them out there.
I run one right now with Windows XP on it, and I've got an old AutoCAD program on it just for teaching purposes, just to show people the evolution of the program. You know, how it's changed.
Pretty cool.
But, yeah.
Well, in theory, you could probably even just install it native on a partition.
Okay.
Even though VM box would probably be a much easier thing to do.
I would have to, like, I wouldn't mind doing that, but what I find trouble with is I can turn down the CPU cores, but things run too fast. Any DOS programs, they run too fast, and I don't know how to slow them down.
Oh, I remember late 90s, early 2000s. I remember that being a specific problem for games.
Mm-hmm.
And because there'd be like old, early 90s, late 80 games that I'd still like to play.
Yeah.
That you could not play them because the machine cycles were so much faster. And there was old, I forget what they're called. I don't think it was specifically called decelerators, but it was some sort of app that you could run alongside with it that would help slow that process down.
Because you can slow it down, but it still doesn't work right. Then it's too slow in some places and too fast in others, and it's still
for the gaming world. There's all kinds of emulators that help take care of that for you. So I'm not sure how to do it outside of the gaming world though. So because you're probably doing it for architecture stuff, I assume, or what?
Well, I might try that, but no, it's games.
Okay.
There's an old game called Caesar 2 that I want to play. It's old.
DOSBox was the name of the old emulator I used to play with years and years ago.
Yeah, DOSBox. Yeah, that works. Yeah.
And it looks like they're still around.
They're still around. It doesn't work right in DOSBox though.
Oh.
So yeah, that's why I'm thinking maybe. I like DOS anyway. I think it's fun because I can maneuver around in it a little bit. So.
Oh yeah.
If I remember. I used to know it, but I don't know it. I've forgotten now.
Here's DOSBox for Windows 10 right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when did you start after the army? You got into this business? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2000. 1999 is when I ETS'd.
Oh, okay.
It was 20 years ago.
Whoa.
Hush.
What?
You're older than me, old lady.
4 months doesn't count.
Yes, it does.
No,
4 months greater than.
4 months doesn't count.
She's my cougar.
I'm not a freaking cougar. I'm 4 months older.
You like that fun. You started it.
No.
We have a running inside joke that if you could say you did anything 30 years ago, you're old.
Oh, is that right? Ooh.
We're right in that age together where it doesn't seem like we're old, but
Right?
Well, that doesn't go away.
yeah.
No, it doesn't go away.
I remember your mom saying something about that.
Yeah, she says, I still feel 15. I look in the mirror and go, oh no.
Yeah. Her mom's like, who's that old lady in the mirror?
Yeah. That's what happens. That's about all that happens is every time, and even every morning I look in there and I go, wow, who's that guy?
Well, I'm starting to feel it though. Feeling bones or certain muscle groups are getting a little more tense or whatever.
Yeah, you get that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's slowing me down. I told all my technicians and guys back at SpaceX, you're all crawling over all these test stands. I kept teasing them. I'm not 39 anymore, guys. Slow down.
Yeah.
They just look at me.
Well, for sure. So hey, you were saying they're sending some new rockets up. Who is?
Yeah, they're supposed to have a launch tonight. The Starlink 15 mission.
And that's SpaceX.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They launched about 60 or so satellites in a chunk, and just spreads them out. So eventually the network's they've got about, I think, close to 1,000 up there right now, or maybe a few hundred less, but their goal is to get about 3,000 to 4,000 of these little micro satellites.
How big are these satellites that they're taking up there? You said how many? 60 or 16?
60 at a time per rocket. Let me see if I can find a video for you. They're real small.
Like, will they fit in my living room or what?
Yeah, probably on your couch.
Okay. That's all how big they are?
Yeah, they're mostly solar panel.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I just found a thing where Elon's talking 42,000 satellites now. Let me see if I can find a good picture. Here's a video of them being deployed, which is cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Find picture of one of the satellites itself. Well, because this doesn't really show their size very well, that's what I'm worried about. I'll play this video, but it's showing it from space.
Okay. And how high are they?
I used to know the exact spec, but it's only like, I think, a few hundred miles. It's the trick is that it's not the geosynchronous orbit, so they're low orbit.
Okay.
It's just barely above regular orbit. Am I sharing it? Hold on. Still, there we go.
And now we are coming up on deployment of the Starlink satellite shortly here in about 40 seconds or so, right, which is takes a measure we're taking light from to that.
So basically, it's like a bus load of them all connected.
Oh, I see.
Payload deploy confirmed.
And it's got a slight spin to it on the second stage when it deploys, so they just lets them all release.
Confirmation. We got a live view as it was deploying from the vehicle. Those Starlink satellites are making their way, separating from second stage right in front of you right now.
Yep.
And their way to
that's how they spread out.
Brings our webcast to a close. Follow our website and social media platforms for
see if I can find a good video of them actually,
missions and milestones.
what they actually look like.
And as the work goes on to build a better, more exciting future, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you at the next launch.
Does this show it?
Hey, Marcus House with you. But by launching around 12,000 satellites in 3 sophisticated, more expensive to build and manage than the massive rocket that pushes its orbit.
Right there?
Let's take the Amos 6 satellite from 2016
That was I was actually there when this happened, by the way. I was part of the guys that had to investigate why that happened.
Lost when the Falcon 9 exploded. That payload was worth around $200 million.
We call that a rapid unscheduled disassembly event, RUD.
And this was by no means a
it was fun too because you had to recreate what happened
compared to other satellites. Now, a Falcon 9 mission using space.
No people in that, though, right?
Was
no. That was Amos 6. It was a Israeli satellite, and the I guess fun news to it, I guess, was that Mark Zuckerberg had rented some space on it because he was going to start a new Facebook ad campaign directed for North Africa, and he was actually sitting somewhere in Africa waiting for that satellite to launch so they could debut their new service, and it exploded. So we had to apologize to Mr. Mark, but Mr. Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
But yeah, we found out that liquid oxygen can freeze into solid oxygen, and it'll seep into. You want to hear the details of it?
Yeah, because that just didn't make any sense what you said.
Oh,
so far. So yeah, I want to hear it. Yeah.
Okay. So the second stage is mostly liquid oxygen for the oxidizer.
Yep.
And so it's basically all the components to it. It's all literally soaked in a liquid oxygen bath. And,
what burns? So you got oxygen and what else? Hydrogen?
Basically kerosene. It's called RP1.
Okay. Is that very light?
Yeah, I mean it's kerosene.
So it would have, what do you call it? An octane level of. Would you know that? I don't know if you
I'd have to
know
look
that.
it up. But that's curious. Let me see. RP1 octane. Let's see here. Okay, octane rating and piston engines. Excuse me. Okay, I'm not finding it quickly. I mean, it's explosive if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious because I used to be in that little bit of a side of my business, so I'm just curious. So
Yeah.
okay, so now I'm just going to ask questions as we go, just because
Sure.
I'm curious. But
I love questions.
Okay, so they use liquid oxygen,
Mhm.
but do they pipe liquid oxygen? Does it burn liquid oxygen, or is the liquid
Yes.
oxygen part of it goes right into the flame, right?
Yes, there's all kinds of cool videos on that too. We could look up if you want, but yeah, the
Okay.
the Merlin engines, they are what's called open.
Oh, Merlin make them.
Pardon?
Oh, Merlin make them. Oh, wow.
Oh no, the SpaceX engine. The name for the rockets, the engines that the Falcon 9s use are called Merlins. The name of the engine.
That's not Merlin, the company.
Nope.
Merlin. Okay. Okay. All right.
That's the SpaceX name. Merlin, the M1Ds they call them.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And yeah, so there's basically two turbo pumps, one for the LOX side, one for the RP1 side, and it burns a little bit of both to help push and spin those turbo shafts. And so let me just find one quick. That's why you see a big plume of exhaust on the side. Let me see. Merlin. Most of the YouTube videos are super old. This is 8 years ago. You'll see like this big giant like exhaust plume on the side coming out.
So that's oxygen, is it?
Say again?
Is that oxygen that's coming out of there?
What
is that?
This is actual the engine thrust. But you see this little black right here? Black stream?
Yeah.
So that's the exhaust coming out of the turbo shafts.
So the very beginning was all this just.
That's just
foam.
water.
That's just water.
This is just water from the. Oh my gosh, what's it called, Kelly?
Huh?
What's the word? My brain is totally farting.
What word?
For the starts with a D. This whole ramp.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What's it called?
I don't know, honey.
My brain is broken.
Does SpaceX build their own rocket engines?
For where it deflects the rocket exhausts so it doesn't hit the ground.
I don't remember.
There's a word for it, and I forget what it is. Say again, I'm sorry?
Does SpaceX build these Merlin engines?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we tested at least 1 or 2 or 3 plus a day. This is at the small site stand here.
All right, so the water, okay, got it. All right.
Yeah, this is all water. I'm embarrassing myself. I can't remember what that's called.
Deflector.
I don't know, darling.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so yes. So this is all water deluge right here to help basically soak up and mute the rocket engine exhaust.
Okay.
That green flash right there, that's called TTEB, where it's kind of it's 2 different explosive aluminum chemicals. Like powders.
Is that so that's the starter.
Yes. So it's 2 different powders. When you mix them together, they explode. They turn green like that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's explosive aluminum. So that's how we start the engine.
Sure.
So that's a mix of the LOX is the oxidizer for the RP1. And this stream right here, this is the exhaust. So there's a turbo shaft that helps push the propellant from the upper in the structure of the rocket.
It spins. It spins.
The turbo shafts do. They're just real fancy giant pumps.
So what spins them?
Again, so it burns a little bit of the propellant.
Yeah.
With the LOX inside the turbo shaft, and literally helps spin the pumps.
Okay,
so
gotcha. Yeah.
So the rocket explosion itself, the rocket fuel is used to spin the pumps.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they're like, it's like well over like 18,000 RPMs, and it's got the special alloy so they don't blow up.
Yeah.
It's very hot. But the point I was making is though is that so this is what's called an open cycle rocket engine. So you see, this is the exhaust from those turbo shaft.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah.
Because it's firing in there.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. It's
interesting.
literally spinning the pumps to help push more propellant faster.
Yeah.
To burn more stuff. Yeah. To give more thrust.
Oh,
Pushing
that's
the envelope.
that is smart.
Well, it's a very delicate, controlled explosion.
Absolutely. Whoa.
Versus so the Raptor engine, what the new Starship models are going to be using, it's a closed loop rocket engine design, where instead of just dumping the exhaust from the turbo shaft pumps out like this, it actually recirculates because it's using methane, or what's called methalox. It's using liquid methane with liquid oxygen instead of propellant, instead of RP1. So it has very little soot, very little actual exhaust. So we're actually able to recycle the spent methalox for that's also pumping or fueling the pumps for the Raptor engine. It goes back into the regular what do you even call it? Exhaust cycle.
Gotcha.
So it never wastes any propellant.
Nice.
That's one of the first things I did when I got there. This is using what's called a rolling shutter for these cameras. I was the telecom guy. I replaced them all with global shutters. We didn't have these that freaking wobble anymore. And I put HBT mounts on the camera so it wouldn't shake anymore. Can't have a good test without a good camera picture, you know?
How big is that cone on the bottom?
How big,
is that cone? That cone on the bottom, just to get an idea. It's just hard to tell. 6 feet.
4 feet or so. No.
4 feet?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
That's not very much. Huh. Okay.
See if I can find.
Oh, you don't have to be exact. I'm just curious.
No, I've seen pictures of it.
It's just.
This area is used for.
I would probably guess it at, like, before I've seen this close up of it, I would have guessed it at about 10 feet.
No, the Raptor ones are. Raptors are huge.
Okay.
That looks like a Super Draco nozzle. Is that one right there?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me!
To be shipped out for that.
That's Merlin.
And when we do that firing, it's going to be quite spectacular. Falcon 9 is the most powerful single-core vehicle in the American fleet, and when Falcon 9 Heavy, really quite the nozzle, and then there's all the supporting structure in there with the avionics and control valves. And here you can see the difference with the Falcon 1 configuration. So it's a sealed pyramid.
This is the old
stage
one.
valving
That's
is
the small
contained
one.
inside that pyramid.
We don't make those anymore.
But other than that, it's substantially the same with a turbo pump and the chamber and nozzle. Very little difference really between the Falcon 1 configuration and the Falcon 9 configuration.
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So,
let's watch the rest of that burn that they were doing there, or did we?
You talking about the engine burn, or are you talking about the
Yeah.
806 explosion?
Well, whichever. This is cool stuff. Yeah. Okay, so they pour the water in there. They fire the rocket.
What's potentially interesting, this particular camera we're watching from right now is actually hanging upside down.
So that new rocket that they have, the biggest one, what is it, the Dragon?
The Raptor?
Is it the Raptor?
Uh-huh. That's the Methalox.
So what kind of weight is it designed for? Like what's it completely loaded? What are they expecting?
The physical weight, or I think it's upwards of, it's over 300,000 Newton meters now of thrust. But you're asking
how much weight? Like what's
heavy is it?
the mass? How heavy is it? Yeah.
Let me see.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to look it up too.
Sure.
200 thrust to weight ratio, 300 bars, pressure. Dry weight is 1,500 kilograms or 300 pounds.
3,300 pounds dry?
Yep.
That's it?
One of these videos they show
That's the same as my car.
I was gonna say one of these videos they've got it. Like, there we go, right there. There's a guy
There,
standing behind it.
Okay, so that's a rocket for the new one, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's more what I would expect. Yeah,
This is what's going to Mars. Yeah.
Oh, they're planning a trip to Mars?
Oh yeah, probably the next couple of years.
So
this is our Raptor test and I helped build that. Just kind of giving an idea of what's going on here. So they're taking this video from the outside of what's called the Raptor development hangar, and they're basically standing on like a third floor stairwell, basically. And this is probably a good half mile to a mile away, and it's still shaking the camera. And it's a short burn because McGregor charges us $90,000 a second when we do tests past dark for the noise pollution. So that's a very expensive test.
Wow.
Yep. That's Methalox. It's got these perfect, what they call shot cone, the diamond cones in them.
So why do they call it Methalox? What does that mean?
Because it's instead of the kerosene, it's liquid methane CH4 with liquid oxygen.
So it's still kerosene?
No,
and
not kerosene at all. It's methane and oxygen now.
Oh, methane. So just methane. So is methane a liquid or a gas?
Well, they liquefy it. They freeze it to make it a liquid. Normally, it is a gas at room temperature.
And so how do they? Oh, that's interesting. So, so methane's easy enough to turn into a gas here, but what do they? How do they keep it a gas if they're going to fly in the?
Well, again,
is that the new rocket? Is that the new rocket?
It's one of them. That's one of the first prototypes.
Oh, that's
they got a little Starman guy under it to kind of show for scale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, they've hold on, let me see if I can find one of the hop tests. This is the newer one. I like the SN5 one because it shows the new landing system.
1.
This is just using one Raptor engine. It's just a test. This is down in Boca Chica, South Texas. Yeah. See how there's no exhaust? It's just methane and oxygen.
So after it burns, what does it give off?
Oh,
what gas? I wonder.
I think it's just hydrogen and dissociated carbon. It's basically just CO2 and hydrogen.
That's pretty exciting, that, isn't it?
Oh.
It's exciting just to see these guys land these rockets. I think that's incredible.
Yep,
that's incredible.
So that is part of what's called the landing stage for the stuff that's going to go to Mars.
Okay. So in a cabin that they would have, how would they heat that and continue with power and all that stuff? Like how do they do that in a rocket?
Same way they do today. With a spacecraft that goes to orbit today, just usually you'll have either a combination of fuel cells and other things that give off regular heat, and then just good old fashioned electric heaters, air conditioning
and generators and whatnot. Yeah. Okay.
Get your what, Kelly?
Water from the kitchen.
Oh no, hold on. I'm trying to think of what was it called, Kelly?
What?
Oh, what was it called?
So, what kind of power do they use in them?
For the like you said, the passenger part is just, it's regular electricity stuff, I guess.
Okay. And the communications, how do they talk, say, from the moon to I hope they go to the moon again.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. My memory wants to say something about Artemis.
Okay.
NASA has a new schedule to go back to the moon.
Oh, good.
2024.
Oh, really? Good.
And there's all kinds of debate. They want to use the SLS, the NASA's version of their interplanetary delivery platform, but it's so far behind, so super over budget that it probably won't. So they'll probably hopefully use a Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, the Falcon Heavy can hold how many people? 3? What do they got?
3? Well, the Falcon Heavy is a heavy lift platform, so it can carry probably several dozen if you wanted to. But the Crew Dragon, it's called.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It can hold up to 7.
Okay.
But the Falcon 9 can lift a Crew Dragon.
Okay.
They just sent 4 people up. Was it last weekend? Was it last weekend before? They just delivered 4 astronauts to the space station.
So we hope you enjoy that name. And
This is inside of
once
Crew
again,
Dragon.
welcome on board.
I've got one on my side
That's
as
epic.
well. The hatch that we
The
came
first
in is
commercial
the hatch that's right behind
human
me.
space flight.
It is a little bit of a tight quarters, but I'm going to try to demonstrate some of the capability that we have
That doesn't
now that
look
we're
bad.
in zero gravity. So
I wouldn't
guess
mind.
requested to do a backflip.
He's not going far. They
today.
only spend like a day or so in there too.
Tourists
So
aboard. We both have 2 boys who are super interested in dinosaurs, and we collected
the
up
more
all
recent
the
one,
dinosaurs
that was the
between
first,
two houses.
the test launch. The more recent one, they had a Baby Yoda with them.
Environmental system.
Team in that, really in that launch.
There you go.
This helps make sure that, everything goes smoothly on the day of launch, like today.
Responsible
Yeah,
for,
they're
like I
fitting in
said
that little
before,
thing
making
out
sure
there.
The hatch is open. The cabin has communications and lights. They're also responsible for making.
And it's designed. You can put another row of seats in there. You can put up to 7 people at a time, but that would get a little squishy.
Checks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like run 2,
Yep.
but
Right.
really day 1.
Maybe smelly too.
Ah!
Maybe
we got into propellant load.
Commercial space flight.
Fuel into the chamber.
Flight director.
Starting.
But yeah,
so the communications, how does that work? Communications between like the spaceship, what are they using?
it's normally VHS, regular old telecom stuff, going to K-band through satellites, typically. And there's a huge array of different variety of frequencies and translations and all kinds of relay stations. And then it just depends on where they are, which part of the side of the planet they're on, and then it'll hit different types of transceivers, whatever on the ground, whether it's the old school radio telescopes or some other just regular satellite dish thing, and then that of course bounces across the planet to mission control and whatnot. But yeah, it's just a combination of regular old school radio.
So when you get far away, like Mars or even the moon, how do they boost that? Like, how do they boost the frequency so that we can get it?
Well, that's why they use VHS, so it goes a long distance without deterioration so much.
Okay, and then what kind of does space give it? Like, what kind of deterioration does space actually give?
It actually doesn't affect it very much. I mean, there's things like the solar wind type stuff that'll cause static and whatnot, but radio waves are fairly unimpeded in a vacuum.
But yet they don't have anything to vibrate against, or do they?
Well, it's a radio wave. It's just a radioactive, non-ionizing, transmission.
Okay.
It doesn't have to vibrate anything physical. That's what you're asking. It's not like a sound wave.
Yeah, not like a sound wave. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Huh.
But it's very complicated because the faster you go and the further away you go, it causes what's called a time dilation effect.
Okay.
And so not only it's not as simple as just pointing your one dish facing another dish. You actually have to keep into account all kinds of what they call artifacts, like compression ratio artifacts, all kinds of things that will further deteriorate the signal. And if you have to actually calculate when to aim your dish in a certain position or whatever, so that because again, it has to.
So speed will take into account Einstein's theory.
Yes. Yes.
Even with sound waves.
If you think you're pointing at a satellite based on how far it's moved over a given amount of time, if you don't add the relativity equation to it, then you're going to miss your satellite because it's actually going to be, either a few seconds or even a full minute away from where it actually is because of relativity. And so you've got to know where to point your dish, your array. You have to know when basically you're trying to aim at.
So that constantly changes by the distance I can see, but
and speed as well. Faster you move, the faster time dilates. It's annoying.
Okay, the speed. So
it's normally not that big of a deal. It's just a few milliseconds to a few seconds, usually for like near Earth stuff. But once you start moving away from the planet, it starts to become pretty significant.
Yeah, the further away you get, the faster you go. It would, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So when they're trying to maneuver these spacecrafts on Mars, that's really something, isn't it?
I'm like communicating with rovers and stuff.
Yeah, and all that. Yeah, that's
of electromagnetic radiation that travels at 300,000 kilometers per second, the speed of light. Once the command is converted into a signal.
Yeah, because it takes a good 12 minutes to relay a signal from Mars
towards the satellite.
And so not only do you have to deal with the different time dilation stuff, but you also have to deal with both the Earth's atmosphere and the Martian atmosphere also can affect the signal.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it can take sometimes it can take hours to what they describe as qualifying a signal.
Yeah,
you'll send your signal to the best trajectory you think you're pointing at, and also there's also orbital satellites around Mars as well that can sometimes bounce signals off of. But you have to wait for the rover to basically acknowledge that yes, you've got the right telemetry going. So you have to wait for it to come back, and you send another signal, and you're waiting. It's 12 minutes each way.
Ooh.
So it's not cut and dry. it's not
what a
picking up a phone and calling anybody.
That would be a stressful job.
Well, it's just math, but yeah, it's easy to mess up.
Continuous communication with the astronauts during the
mission. And I always think if anybody wanted to doubt if Einstein's theories of relativity were true or not, go get a job in telecom.
Oh sure. Oh sure. Yeah. My a fella I know, I call him my cousin. He's not my cousin, but we've known each other like that. But he works in he doesn't anymore. It's Nav Canada, so the navigation for the airports.
Mm-hmm.
He's been working in that all his life, and yeah, he'll tell you the same thing.
So you can join the discussion as we continue to learn more about all things space. Thank you.
One of these days, I could probably get like a collection of videos that I could bring up real quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's
sure
all right.
There's cool stuff out there about it.
So when you were at SpaceX, what kind of stuff were you doing? What was the stuff?
Again, I was one of the chief telecom guys there, and I was more or less responsible for all the tests.
Okay.
For all the video stuff and.
That's right. Oh yeah.
I'll show you a project that I actually was
in
charge of most of. Gregor, what was it called?
Yeah, because you said you changed all the cameras too, didn't you?
Oh yeah. That was one of the things I did. But I was also, had to keep all the communication stuff going, and then I did all the information science stuff too. We had to do a lot of the DCS and all the data collection. So all of these tests, this is what we call our crusher test. I can go into more detail if you want, but there's probably 200 plus different cameras all around this test site, as well as inside the rocket and things that we use to certify and basically test everything. We're testing all the stresses. We're testing, all the propellant, all the flows and everything. And so all of this is certifying for the Air Force. We're proving that our rockets are reusable. We're putting this rocket under the same stresses, the same max Q loads as if it was going to be in launch, which is very, very difficult to do while it's on the ground.
Yeah.
And just to prove to the Air Force that yes, the rocket can be reused. It's not structurally compromised and whatnot. And so all of those stresses we had to not only calculate and measure, but we had to certify. We had to prove it. So I've got cameras all over this place, and there's all kinds of other crazy ideas we thought of, trying to test for rippling and all kinds of things to basically show that this structure is safe.
So I know about NASA's rockets. Their rocket itself was very weak until it was filled up with combustion, and then it can hold some weight on top, right?
Right.
So this, with the cables holding this rocket in place, how are they building this unit in the center? Because that would generally destroy the
exactly.
Like if you couldn't do this to a NASA rocket, it would just crinkle.
Probably.
So
yeah, the SpaceX fuselage it's a aluminum alloy mix, aluminum lithium. And you're right, the pressure of the propellant itself, it's not only is the pressure used to help to maintain the structure, but it's also for the weight. So, because normally this is the first stage boost test stand. Normally, you can only do a 40-second burn.
Right.
Because the weight of the propellant is actually used to help hold the rocket down. This is a tether right down here, the adapter ring they call it. And so there's these giant, like 6-inch thick iron bolts or steel bolts that hold that into place. As the propellant burns off, the rocket becomes lighter and lighter and lighter to the point where if we didn't have this crusher system, as we call it on there, it'd literally rip itself off the adapter ring and crash somewhere in Central Texas. Which would be really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So we would stop the test after about 40 seconds, after about like this far or so,
Yeah.
Avoid that. So to do the full 2.5 minute burn. So this load cell here is basically counterweight. And I forget, it's like 600 or 700 or 800,000 pounds by itself. And then these are, it's some sort of, it looked like nylon, but it wasn't. I never did quite, in the chemical guys explained it to me, but I never really quite understood. It was some sort of new experimental thing that they invented. And then I wish I could zoom in here though, but the bottom were these giant experimental, they were like 10-foot tall hydraulics, custom hydraulic arms.
Okay.
My wife mentioned earlier. So one of the lady engineers that helped design it, she affectionately named them the Super Soakers because they look like the Super Soaker squirt guns. So it's stuck. So anyway, all of that helps to. This is about a little more than 2 million pounds of thrust, or 1.8 million pounds of thrust, depending on the configuration. And so all that counters that. But the other side of the test is that when a rocket is accelerating into the lower atmosphere, the friction from the air causes pressure as well.
Yeah.
And there's a point called max Q. If you've heard that before, whenever they launch a rocket, they always like to call out your rockets at max Q. And basically that's the maximum atmospheric pressure the rocket faces. And that's where a rocket can get crushed sometimes as well if it's not designed properly. So we're trying to not just hold it to the ground, but also keep it or simulate the max Q forces. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Diverter. That's what these are called. These are called diverters, Kelly.
Diverters. Yeah.
So normally we just had this one giant water tower to fuel this diverter. This is firing off all 9 Merlin engines, but we had to install like 2 or 3 other little small water tower.
So the water goes constantly there. They don't shut that off. That just runs steady. Yeah.
That
Okay.
is millions of gallons of water. Yeah.
Okay. Because of the heat, just to keep the heat down.
Well, and the noise.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I bet, eh? So is that how close were you to these rockets when they were going to go?
Jump up me personally or this camera?
Yeah, no, you personally.
Actually,
or what's the closest you've been to one?
Probably about a mile.
A mile?
I'm trying to think of a
Loud?
way if I can show a picture of it.
Was it loud?
Oh heck yeah, yeah! It shakes the ground, dude. I live about 10 miles away from the R&D facility here where I'm at now, and we'll hear our windows shake from here from the house.
Oh wow!
Yeah. See if I can find. This is kind of a. Okay, so here's that first stage boost test stand we were seeing. Yeah, that diverter is so big you could drive a semi truck down there. But over here is called Area 3. This is a cross country propellant load site where it had extra propellant to fuel both the large site test stand as well as a small site test stand, which is off to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had what's called a QE section, or basically the radius around the test site that was considered safe, or the qualifying safe distance zone.
Yeah.
And for security, they'd spend several hours, and they'd comb this whole area within that QE zone to make sure there's nobody out there, whatever. Everybody's the site's secure before they do a test. And the edge of that QE perimeter was right here. Well, you can't see my mouse, I guess.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was right where that little Lux tower there is. So I was parked like right here.
Oh wow!
It's right on the edge of the QE zone. So, and I've got a video of it, but I'm not supposed to share it.
No, that's close. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And again, it's also the same distance from the because it's right between the small site and the large site. Let's see if I'll show a picture or not.
Is that the water tower? That
was one of them.
Okay.
You get a free baristas.
And then coffee. They got to show coffee.
Of course. It's one of the perks. That's the small site test stand. Actually, that's the. Here we go. So
there's two. There's two.
Yep. This is small site. This is large site. This is that Area 3 I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
So I could park there and I could watch any of those tests. The catch with the small site though is that if the wind caught it just wrong, it would blow the RP1 cloud, because it would it'd still have some of the soot in it. It'd blow the cloud over and it'd douse your car, so you get your car get covered in kerosene.
Black, stinky.
Yeah,
too.
well, yeah, it was messy. And sometimes the cloud from the first stage would blow over the central hangar area.
Uh-huh.
And they give us I think like $40 a month on our paychecks every month to go get car washes.
Oh wow! So, the exhaust out of that kerosene does that smell pretty strong or not? Not so much. Not so bad. Okay, not like diesel.
No, it's very well refined kerosene, very pure.
Yeah,
that's Aaron. She's the one that designed those super soakers I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
As our security guy, safety guy. So I lived. This is central hangar. This is part of the central office. I was on the back end of this building on the second floor. So my office window faced small site.
That's all right.
Yeah. So shook my window, shook my desk. It was great. I just stopped working for a little bit. Wait for the test to finish. This is central hangar. There's Lucas.
So, they're all wearing gloves. Are they wearing gloves for a reason?
Oh, it's just to keep the fingerprints and human grime off it. Pretty delicate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Very finely tuned machines. Yeah. So.
There's a soot. Yeah.
Yep. This is small site. This is north and south test base. This is what's called the Merlin MVAC so the second stage, the top part of the rocket was configured differently. The nozzle is wider, so it has a better what's called ISP ratio for the vacuum of space.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
Ah. And then where's the crane that they lift this stuff up on?
Well, these are just single engine.
Boy,
test
that's
stands,
that's small.
Smaller crane, yeah. The first stage. See how much steady that picture was.
Look at that, yeah.
That was me. That was my so this is.
I missed that. You better do that again.
Well, they played it in slow motion too, but you can see all the rolls are gone. Much more steady.
Ah, yes.
And there's large site. It's the first stage. See, there's that giant diverter. You could drive trucks down there if you wanted. That's how huge that is.
Oh, that is, yeah. Oh, look at the soot down there. Yes,
Yep.
yes.
We had I put what I called my tether cameras. There's normally 4 tethers that help kind of hold it against the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you can see my mouse, there's one here, one here, one out here, and then one over here.
Mm-hmm.
And this one right here got so abused. Almost every test, the wind would push it just a little bit, so it get covered in the soot and the smoke. And one of the test operators, he told me, he said it looks exactly like it was going through hell, because you'd see a nice, beautiful Texas, blue sky, and then when the rocket stuff hits it, it literally goes from like a blue to a red.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we always had to replace that camera. The blockhouse is cool. So this old base, this used to be like a U.S. Navy missile test site from like the 40s and 60s.
Oh, okay.
So they had all these underground bunkers and stuff that we just repurposed. This is one of our several test centers.
You know what's neat about this place is it's not fancy. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just tech.
Yep, that's exactly it. So this to answer your question. This is what I did. I provided all of the test footage, all of the visual stuff. We did a lot of thermographic technology stuff where we would help look for heat signature or heat anomalies.
Oh yeah.
So we could try to. Yeah. To try to figure out what went right, what went wrong. All of the abort test stuff relied on my cameras, so that if we saw something, try to basically do an automated abort to save an engine.
So were these cameras that you used able to pick up heat sensors, and,
yes.
and you could do everything with them with just one camera, or did you have multiple different types?
Sometimes, some cameras, some of the thermography stuff could have multiple views, but more than often than not, we'd have dedicated cameras.
Yeah, okay.
My VMS I think we had like over 8,000 cameras at one point.
Wow.
There was always kind of this half joke of which test site would have the most cameras.
Now, what about the wiring that has to, in the rocket itself, you have cameras, I'm sure. And
yep.
What about the wiring that, or how do they, without a broken wire?
For the internal parts, we just wrapped it really well, and then there's what's called a backbone on the side of the rocket. Next time I see a rocket, I'll show it to you.
Okay. Yep. Can't
really see it this side, but there's what's called a backbone.
Sure.
That connects all the stuff on the outside, and it's mostly just fiber optic.
But when you go from here to it's fiber optic.
Yep.
So when you go from this nice warm Texas day that it's always sun shining and
not always, yeah.
It only rains at night because I see some green out there. Anyway, so and then they go up into space and it's minus 200 degrees temperature wise. How do these wires or this wiring not snap with the vibration and everything else? What are they made of, or how are they making it? How are they insulating it?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
It's just different kinds of plastic for what they call OSP rated fiber.
Okay, and so it's like better than because here I have I buy a $60 cord to go to plug my truck in, and in the winter time it gets stiff and hard, and it's not supposed to, but it'll break if you bend it.
Let's see if I can find it.
So to me that's an issue when I look at it.
I'm seeing if I can find something real quick online, but there's all kinds of OSP rated stuff that goes well below minus 200.
Is that right? Okay. All right. That's all cool. So that's an insulator of a type of plastic. It's still a type of plastic. Okay.
I think
or is it a rubber?
Yeah, I think it's a type of neoprene. I think
neoprene. Okay. Yeah.
They're always changing anyways. There's always some vendor out there trying to.
So it's got a 5,000 year half-life. Yeah.
I wish.
Gotcha.
Yeah. This is the Super Draco stand.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
And what's that do? Super Draco. Oh.
My wife's trying to show me something. Gavin Newsom, what? I'll get it.
The 10-person limit on Thanksgiving.
Oh, oh my gosh, you're silly. All right, so the Super Dragos, they're the 8 external engines on the Crew Dragon. So like if you look at my
8?
Yeah, you see my picture here in Steam or YouTube?
Okay.
Those big fire jets, those are 2 jets each on each side, 4 sides.
Oh, okay.
So those are Super Dracos.
That's just a short little rocket, is it?
Yeah, well, it's a couple feet here.
Couple feet.
Yeah. But
look at that. They're
hot.
just little. They're just little.
Well, what's cool about these guys, so these use what's called hypergolic propellant, which is 2 very super toxic fuels that when you mix them together, they instantly ignite. So you don't need an oxidizer for them. You don't need LOX for these.
Okay.
And so it's very powerful. The catch is that they're also very toxic and they'll literally eat your face off. So, yeah. So this is another camera that I helped upgrade. They used to just shake all over the place. I really couldn't do anything with it, but we put some special kind of mounts on it and stuff like that. Made it super steady.
So is that a man-made chemical?
What's that? The hypergolic?
Yeah. The fuel.
Oh yeah.
It's man-made chemical. It's not like I'm going to say kerosene comes from fossil fuels, but where's this come from?
Yeah, it's super toxic. It's super artificial. Let me look at it.
So is it a mix of different chemicals to make it into what it is?
Yes, and I'm gonna if I can find it real quick.
Yeah,
I'll tell you which chemicals
I'm just curious. Yeah,
it's 4 different kinds: hydrazine, monoethyl hydrazine, and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, mixed with an oxidizer called nitrogen tetraoxide. Yeah, it's super deadly good stuff.
Oh, so it's mixed with okay, got it.
Yeah, when one of the Dragon capsules come back after it's been to space and back.
Yeah,
there's what's called a Dragon Decon Center. It's also there in McGregor, where we have to literally strip the thing bare and we have to let it sit for like a month or 2 to wait for the hypergolic fuel to make sure it's all dissipated and not going to hurt anybody.
Oh,
it's super. Every time they move the propellant, yeah, those are the Super Dracos.
That's just a little guy. Oh,
but they're very powerful guys.
Have they gone to space with that yet?
Oh yeah.
Well, they have. I haven't seen that one before.
That video we were watching with the 4 astronauts, we're riding one of these guys.
They were. Oh.
Yep. We're using it mainly for the crew escape thing. If there's an emergency, use this to accelerate real fast. There's videos for that too.
Oh wow. What's the cows in there for?
The hypergolic, when they move the chemicals around the campus.
Yeah.
You have to shut the whole campus down. All traffic is closed. The roads are all. The security won't let anybody go anywhere, even if you're like 5 miles away. They won't let you go anywhere to avoid any potential accident with the hypergolics.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they got to cover it all up.
Yeah, it's like when they drive it down to Florida. There's the Raptor engine.
So they don't take off They don't take off from here.
Not
From
in
the
Central
site?
Texas. We used to. They showed a clips of the old what's called grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
This is old. They don't do this anymore. But some of the very first Falcon 9 just hop tests were done there. But one of them blew up, so we stopped doing that.
Oh, I see. So where you have to actually, they have to actually, they build the stuff here?
No, actually, they build almost everything in California, in Hawthorne.
In Hawthorne,
California.
and then they haul it here to
Yep.
test it,
Right?
and then they take it from Texas to Florida
Yep.
to fly it?
Yep. Or back to California at what's called Vandenberg Airfield.
Oh, so you can fly rockets at Vandenberg
Vandenberg.
Airfield? Vandenberg? Okay.
Yep, on the West Coast.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's expensive.
Yeah, well, one Falcon 9's going for about 70 million right now. Where'd the big map go?
That's it? 70 million?
Yep.
Well, it's a lot of money, but it's not as much as
Well,
I thought it would be.
Yeah,
I thought it'd
especially a couple billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, commercial space flight. So there's a little grasshopper. He's just on display now. He's kind of like a little memorial there. Got our cranes parked there.
That big by your mouse, right? Well, there's that. Is that a crane there? It's go little. Okay, you're right in the middle. So go. I'm gonna say go left. Go right. Sorry, go right. There's a white line going up and down. What is that? So go right. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Go right. Right there. Straight up. See that white line there? What is that?
It's a dotted line showing central site. It's like a map marker.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I did see that before. All right.
That's it.
And the crane, you got a crane over there. I see that. That's kind of cool.
A couple of boom lifts there. The main crane's right over here. This guy makes like $200-something thousand a year just drive that crane.
So this is where you live close to here now still?
About half hour away, yeah.
Well, it's nice there.
Yep. I used
It's
to work
flat.
out there. Yeah.
I never
It
knew
is.
it was.
Hmm?
There's hardly any trees anywhere, really.
In Central Texas.
That's Central Texas.
Yep.
Oh,
North
Okay.
Texas and near Houston's got a bunch of trees.
oh, does it?
That's the weld shop or mechanic shop.
Is there no mountains or anything there? No, it just looks like all prairie.
Yeah, you have to get closer to West Texas to see some mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
you can't say the word mountain around Joel because his idea of a mountain is like a speed bump. I'm
Whatever.
from Southern California, so there's like mountains
Yeah.
every freaking where.
Yeah. Yeah. That's flat. That is flat. I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
Texas was so flat.
It's so nice. I love that it's flat. Oh my gosh.
I don't.
love
I
it.
don't
So
see.
easy to
I don't
drive.
see one oil well. How come I don't see one oil well?
That's closer down to Houston.
Ah,
There's some
okay.
in West Texas too, right?
Oh,
How
yeah.
do you say that? Nagagocious? Nagagocious?
Nacogdoches? Yeah. That sounds.
Is that how you say it? Yeah.
I think so. Sounds like San Antonio.
No,
Yeah.
that's on the other side. It's on the it's in East Texas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nagadocious. I don't know how to say it.
This is the Houston Ship Channel. Oil refineries as far as the eye can see.
That is rad. That is
Oh yeah.
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 Wow, that's so cool, Joel.
That is the oil refinery capital of the planet right there.
Oh,
Hundreds
wow.
of refineries.
That's good.
a little stinky, but yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
That's where I was born and raised. Deer Park, Stinkadina, we called it. Pasadena.
Holy, that's a big channel to get out of there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Really
There's
awesome.
the toll bridge.
Freaking love Texas.
We used to drive. Well, no, actually, that's that blue concrete. That's oh gosh, what's it called? Bayshore.
Oh.
Bayshore Bridge. This was cool because the concrete is a special kind of concrete, and in the girder pole wires, we even call these things.
Yeah.
They were made from a special steel out of Africa.
Oh, okay.
Which made it take 10 years longer to build for whatever reason, but they finally finished it. But
Is
it's
the
gorgeous.
it is gorgeous. Is the concrete now? That's something. The concrete, does it have that? What is it called? Bugs. They got little bugs in them. I forget what they're called now.
Well, YouTube just said bury a bug. I don't know if
what are they? Bacteria. They got bacteria in them, in the concrete.
I don't know.
Have you seen that?
Have not.
Oh, that's something new too to this industry. I have to research that a little bit too. They're adding it to my courses, maybe if the school ever opens again.
Right. Is that to help clean stuff or what?
It's a self-cleaning concrete, and it doesn't rot, and it doesn't do whatever it's supposed to do, and things don't grow on it either.
Because this bridge is super fancy.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah, look at that.
It's got like a blue tint to it.
Kitties are fighting.
Which you really can't see well in this video, but
yeah, that is nice.
Hey, Matt?
For you'd appreciate it as a architecture, as a engineer.
Yeah, I like that bridge. Oh, that's nice landscape there.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
well, it's Baytown, but
it's what?
It's Baytown. I never really liked Baytown much, but yeah.
See, look at there's blue sky, everything. Yeah.
You should have that in Canada.
Yeah, we do. But Texas has it all the time, don't they? They always have blue sky.
Yeah.
Places, yeah.
I was over here, and my wife just the other day commenting to our son Matt. He was born and raised in California, and
So was I.
I don't know if you caught yourself. You said, "See, Matt, this is what no smog looks like."
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about as worse as it gets there. There's a little bit of smog, but it's about as worse as Houston gets.
Oh, India, when I was there, you couldn't see on a nice clear day like this. You couldn't. It would be like a cloudy day.
Yeah, California's like that.
Just
There was
like
parts. There was something. We were driving through L.A., North L.A. There was some
Looked
valley.
like that.
No, they were through
Yeah.
Tehachapi.
Say again?
We were going through Tehachapi.
Tehachapi?
Yeah.
It was north of L.A., I thought.
Yeah, it was.
But it was like literally driving through this brown, like, fog. It was disgusting. I did not want to. I was like, we have to drive through that.
Well, that's where we lived. Was in that. It was horrible.
How do you spell it?
Tehachapi.
Yeah.
Tehacha. There you go. You got it. We're gonna have to see the word in my head.
It's all this historic stuff. I wanted to see if they had like a video on the smog. Anyways.
New York City, there wasn't smog, but this is where California from every
Yeah, like
See,
that.
they're just showing all the good stuff. They're not showing the bad stuff.
No, they don't.
Yeah, so AIM 06 shut the whole company down for almost a full year to investigate.
Is that right?
Complicated, but more performant themselves you can minimize them.
These are what's called COPVs, carbon overwrapped pressure vessels.
Okay, and what do they do?
So these hold liquid helium. So I was talking about earlier, the second stage booster is basically it's mostly LOX with a little bit of an RP1 bottle in it. And so everything, all the components are all in a literal LOX bath. So there's these COPV bottles all inside there as well, and they're literally just they're drowned in this liquid oxygen bath, right? And
Okay, yeah.
we right before launch we pump, because helium is very, very expensive. Liquid helium, it's very difficult to keep in cryogenic form.
Yeah.
And so we like to further do what's called densify it. So we'll freeze it and then we'll also further densify it to make it more compressible.
Okay.
In its liquid state. So, and you have to do it real quick. So again, we do it just like an hour or so, or a couple hours before the launch, so it doesn't evaporate. And so these are aluminum tubes or bottles with carbon fiber. In fact, I don't know if Scott shows or not. I've seen videos where they show the manufacturing for it. They literally just wrap it.
Okay.
Carbon fiber wrap. Anyway, so it's help pressurize the liquid helium. And so the liquid helium is used. So once you get into space, your microgravity environment, your rocket fuel doesn't like to stay in one spot anymore. It doesn't like to stay on the bottom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it does it has something called slosh, where it starts to basically float around inside your propellant tank. And it makes it difficult sometimes to reach the pump inlets, you know, so it can get pumped back into the engines. Yep. And so what they'll do is they'll release a little bit of this helium inside the second stage to help basically pressurize it to keep the LOX pushed down inside the second stage, right?
Right.
So what we found out happened though is that again, so liquid helium is colder than liquid LOX and liquid oxygen. And so what happened was that as we were doing the rapid loading of it and doing the densification process, it caused the liquid oxygen that this was soaked in to freeze even further and become solid oxygen.
Ah.
Call it SOX for short.
Okay.
SOX.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what would happen is that there'd be just little tiny bits of liquid oxygen trapped inside the little microscopic pockets between the carbon fibers, and then those would freeze into basically oxygen icicles, you know.
Uh-huh.
And what would happen is that would further cause compression problems that would cause it to the aluminum part here, because as oxygen, as it freezes like that, it expands, pushes pressure onto the aluminum bottle, causing it to crease a little bit.
Yeah.
And when it creases just right, plus whenever it's being fed counter pressure from the helium, it can actually cause just enough of a pinch to pinch that solid oxygen, which will cause it to ignite. And we figured that out. One of our resident geniuses over at the structure stand of all places, he set up this little experiment stand of like 6 different slide hammers.
Yeah.
And what he did is he literally did a drop test. He had a little arm that would lift the slide hammer in the air, put a little, it was real difficult to create SOX on purpose. You can imagine the nightmare that was, but he'd take a little bit of his SOX that he'd make there in the hangar, and then he would set the rig up, and it would automatically release the slide hammer. It dropped about 6 feet or so, and then when it would slam on that SOX, it would explode.
Oh.
It was just a tiny bit of SOX, so it didn't explode very much, but still, you know, so
yeah,
throw the hammer back up a little bit. But that's how he proved that you can pinch SOX, essentially. You can hit it and cause it to explode. So we figured that part out. We're like, okay, was it actually pinching it enough to cause that kind of pressure to cause it to ignite like that? So the next test is we set it. I don't think I've seen any pictures of it anywhere because it was kind of top secret kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Basically,
maybe you shouldn't be telling this on.
Well, I think it's public knowledge how we solved it, so I can describe it. I just don't know of any pictures of it. Basically, we created this temporary COPV test stand where we recreated the whole thing. So we would literally, we had like just a regular old steel metal box that we'd fill up with LOX, make an actual LOX bath, and then we would take an actual COPV and fill it with densified helium, recreating the whole thing. I'm sure Scott explains it really well here too.
Now the friction
Anyway, so we recreated the whole experiment with real articles, and basically let it sit in that LOX like that long enough to recreate the explosion. Sometimes we would make it explode on purpose, as little explosives, just kind of test the test site, because such a huge explosion. You saw that one picture, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So even just with one COPV bottle, it was tearing up. It was kind of close to the small site stand. So we ended up putting these giant like highway concrete barriers you see on the highway.
Yeah.
Those big barriers they put between the lanes. We
walls,
found a bunch of those. Yeah.
Yep.
And we set those up on the tall end, created like this concrete wall around it. And so that stopped the pieces flying outward, but stuff would still fly over the wall. So we put this big giant net over everything. It took a while to figure out how to keep the stuff from making a mess. But anyway, so we basically recreated it.
Oh, wow.
And we it was very expensive because it was about
there is fire. There is an
$1.2 million per test, and we did I don't know how many dozens of tests.
So how'd they fix it then?
We load the densified helium slower.
That's it?
Yeah.
Which really provided to optimize the loading
procedure.
Oh. So what further down the road?
Yeah, so it doesn't cause that compression.
COPV any different which explodes on.
And NASA was cool about it because NASA they use COPV technology as well, but they never densified it, right, to try to squish more helium in there than usual.
Yeah.
And so they were thankful that not only did we blow up a rocket before they did, but but we figured out how to not only densify it but also prevent it from causing that problem. So we basically normally NASA will kind of get upset and they'll decertify and take away your license and all kinds of mess if you do something like that.
Oh wow!
But since we solved a major problem, they were actually very thankful. So
yeah. Look at that. There's no clouds in the sky. What the ever?
By Florida.
Oh.
But what was really fun, one of the very first preliminary tests we did, because I don't know if you've ever heard, you probably didn't hear it. This is 3, 4, 5 years ago now. No, not 5. But anyways, one of the theories was a conspiracy theory that the ULA or somebody shot the rocket, like with a rifle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know if they could.
Well, and there's all kinds of video about it. Let me see if I can find one about it.
Here, yeah, maybe. Hey.
No, I've seen some videos where they circle it, where it looks like a bullet or something, and also the conspiracy theory was there was a delay, right? Because this is from several miles away.
Yeah.
So you see the explosion, and it takes 5 or 6 seconds for you to hear anything. But right before it explodes, you can hear another clank, basically.
Oh, really?
And so people were saying that that's evidence of a sniper. See right there, they showed it. Right there. So anyway, that fueled the theory that one of our competitors was on, and in fact, it was kind of a controversy because one of the geniuses in SpaceX actually asked NASA if we could investigate the top of their one of the buildings that the ULA managed to see if there was any evidence of a sniper, round or somebody up there. And ULA, of course, they all got butthurt, and it was dumb. But
sure.
Anyway, so back at McGregor, we wanted to test the theory. So we got an actual full, we call it an actual second stage booster, filled it up with LOX, like it was going to be in a test stand. And we hired a sniper rifle expert guy come in and shoot the thing.
Did they really?
Yeah, right there at West Site called West Stand.
And did it blow?
Heck yeah, dude! Again, I was about 2 or 3 miles away from it, sitting in my office in Central Hangar, and I mean the everything, the desk, everything was just shaking. The monitor, my computer monitor, it was epic. And everybody's like, "Do it again!" It's very expensive. There's one guy on my team who's a Marine. He was a Marine sniper actually, and he was like, "Oh man, I want to do it again. Let me do it this time."
Wow.
But
neat.
So yeah, we blew one up. It was huge too because it was just this huge giant cloud of LOX. It's a white cloud.
Yeah. Oh man,
it was fun.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks a lot, Joel. Yeah,
You're welcome.
that was all right.
Yeah, it's fun for me too.
You should do this. Keep doing this. I mean, you've done a
Heck
few
yeah.
of them already, so yeah. I'll
Well, do you
watch
have any more
for them.
questions or?
No, that's probably enough for tonight.
Sure.
I'll be thinking other things to talk about next time.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Siemens NX CAD program?
Just an overview of it. That's about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
SpaceX uses.
It's is it the CAD program or the which one? They've got a
CAD.
few.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what SpaceX uses to design rockets and engines with, except they use like a 3D mouse, and Elon likes to try to use the augmented reality stuff. You seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
No, you're trying to get going,
Well,
but
I've seen it. Like I've had overviews of it, but we don't use that too much in our industry.
Yeah.
I know of it, and I know it's not. I think they also have another one that we can put all the units together. That's I don't know, what can I call it? It's more of a viewer than anything.
Yeah.
So you can throw together all the different projects, parts of the projects, and see if they all fit. So there could be an engine designer, there could be a utility designer, there could be a wire designer, and then you can take all those and put them all together.
Yep.
To make sure they're all going to fit. That's the one that
Right.
I would have.
like an overview, right? Yeah, Elon, he was real excited about this. This isn't super old. Well, we don't actually use this.
Yeah.
We use regular old NX just to design the stuff.
But this is all fun and nice and everything, but it starts to lose function after a while. It's just too much work to get it all working.
Those tiny particles onto the prior layer.
Yeah, and then we actually this is 3D printing a regular. I think it's a valve of some sort.
I believe we're on the verge of a major breakthrough
okay.
in design and manufacturing, and being able to.
Most everything's made in house. Yeah, man.
Good deal.
You think of some other topics? We talk more about just design stuff too, if you want.
Sure, sounds good. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yes, sir. All right.
Say hi to Mrs. Joel too. All right.
All right, man. It's been a pleasure. You have a good evening.
Yeah. You too. Bye now.
We'll catch you later.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hang up as well. End broadcast. There it is.